Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm glad to hear, Mr. Secretary, that y'all are going to have National Lab Day on July 24th in honor of Charlie Crist's birthday. So happy birthday in advance, Governor.
It's exactly the reason we picked that date, Governor.
So I just didn't realize he had that kind of pull, you know. Secretary Perry, as you know, the President signed my bill, the Nuclear Energy Innovation Capabilities Act, into law last fall. And while I've been pleased to see the department take some important steps in implementing this legislation, such as announcing the mission need for the versatile fast test reactor, which is authorized in the bill, we really heard kind of little from the department about the rest of the bill. So talking about the budget specifically, I was kind of disappointed to see that fiscal year 2020 budget request did not include funding for the National Reactor Innovation Center, which was included in the budget request. And just by way of notes, this innovation center is critical to the development of advanced reactors and will allow those private companies you were talking about to prove their reactor designs without having to endure the lengthy NRC licensing process. And it's also my understanding that the Department of Defense, DOD, is interested in this funding and a reactor prototype at one of the national labs through this program. So I guess my question to you is, how did we not get that in the budget? What's your thoughts on that process?
One of the things that I'm going to do, if I may, Madam Chair, is I'm going to ask for Undersecretary DeBar to share just a little bit of his observation here, because I think this is really important. He's head of our science shop. All of our national labs are underneath him and what have you. But Randy, Congressman Weber, before we do that, I just want to say that we think some of the most exciting research that's being done at the department is dealing with small modular reactors, the advanced reactors that are out there. We've got 2 private sector companies that we're working incredibly close with. We got a piece of land on Idaho National Lab property of where we're going to be, building this out and seeing some real progress made on this. And we think that not only from a commercialization aspect of being able to deliver emission-free power, it's also going to be a very, very important tool to non-proliferation with these small modular reactors. So if I may, could I get Paul DeBar?
Sure, yeah, if you'd be very quick, because I do have a question.
Yes, sir. All right.
So the versatile test reactor, which is part of the legislation that we'd like to thank this committee for passing, we're moving down that process to identify where to actually place it, at which of the national labs. As you can probably guess, we have more than one interest from a national lab director about where to place it. But we're in the middle of that process, and obviously we're looking forward to placing it in one of the labs that has a long history, which we have several of nuclear power.
Yep. Good. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll take that to mean that you really don't know what the cost is going to be, so how much to put in the budget, but we do need to focus on that. Let me go to question 2. FY 2020 budget request includes a $161 million cut to the Fusion Energy Sciences program, and as a result proposes $108 million in U.S. contributions to the ITER project, which is the world-leading international research collaboration in fusion energy that has in the past received strong and continued bipartisan support from this very committee. This funding level is just over 1/3 of what is required in fiscal year 2020 to maintain the U.S. commitment to participate in ITER. So my question is, the department recommending that we withdraw from ITER? Because it's hard to square this fusion budget, which would make the U.S. responsible for delaying the project and increasing the overall cost, with maintaining our international commitment. Are we thinking of withdrawing from the ITER project? I mean, how can we expect other countries to make investments in the U.S.-hosted international projects, like, for example, the Long Baseline Neutrino Facility, if we don't keep our commitments overseas?
Yes, sir. Congressman, you know the history of this, and it really got sideways back when I showed up here in the spring of 2017. ITER was in pretty dire straits, frankly. It had poor management. There was not the type of results that I think any of us were comfortable with. Subsequently, they have a new executive director in there that's doing some really good work. We have regained our confidence. I went and was on the ground there to see, to talk, to interact with the folks there in the south of France where this facility is. We have become convinced that they are making the right kind of progress. We're doing more in-kind contribution on the solenoid that's coming out of General Atomics in California rather than direct appropriations. But with that said, the $107 million request for 2020 is sufficient to maintain the progress on some of the highest priority U.S. hardware contributions that we're making. So to answer your question specifically, we are recommending that we continue to be engaged with this, cautiously optimistic that when we roll back in here for the next budget cycle that we'll be able to even have better evidence of progress that they're making.
Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Secretary. It's no surprise to me that you focused on it. We're already on top of it, so I appreciate it. But I just, again, I think it's important, and so I think we want to continue that commitment as much as we possibly can. I'm over my time, Madam Chair. Thank you. I yield back. Thank you, Ms. Secretary.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lofgren.
Thank you, and thank